Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you love to solve a mystery, you've come to the right place. Grab yourself a pen and paper and together we're going to look at mysteries and try to solve them. My name is Beth MacIntosh. I'm a physical medium in the same way that physical media transmits data in data communications. I have seen apparitions and visions since I was a child. Victims of crime send me downloads of information that give me the facts of every case. Let me show you how this works. When you send a message, a text message or picture or video from this mobile device to another device, you do not see the pictures or words float in the air and land on the chosen device. Instead, you take for granted that the images and words magically appear from one device to the other. It's the same with mediumship. I can see the data better if I wear a blindfold, similar to a virtual reality mask. It has to be the truth. So through the power of God, I ask for His truth, the ultimate truth and wisdom. I invite you to write down clues and facts and piece together what we believe happened in every case. I like to upload 3 videos per week, so please subscribe and help my channel grow. Enter comments below, but please be respectful of other people's comments and keep this an engaging and respectful channel. Thank you so much. So, let's get into today's mystery. Welcome back everybody. This mystery involves the sudden and unexplained explosion of a U-boat in English waters in 1918. In July 1918, German command reported the U-boat is missing, as no contact had been made for 2 months. She was presumed lost. An American submarine spotted the U-boat drifting off the coast of Cornwall, England, with a solitary man standing on the deck, motionless and unfazed that an enemy sub had just spotted them. Still at war, the American submarine poised the torpedoes to ready, aim and fire. But before the captain could issue the order to fire, the U-boat exploded right in front of him. So what happened to the U-boat? The mystery still surrounds the disappearance to this day. We begin our story with a catalogue of accidents that, to be honest, could be attributed to coincidences. But as the accidents developed, these coincidences would turn into a serious fear. As the boat was being built in 1916, 2 ship workers were struck by a steel girder that slipped from its position whilst being manoeuvred into place and fell upon the men, killing them. One instantly, and the second died later in hospital. A couple of months later, the U-boat was ready to be launched, but 3 engineers wanted to do some final last-minute checks before launch day. They went into the engine room. A few minutes had gone by when they were heard to be shouting for help. They were coughing and crying for the door to be opened as toxic fumes were filling the engine room. This door to the bulkhead was jammed, and their colleagues struggled to get the door open. A horrific and tragic encounter whereby their colleagues helplessly witnessed the men slowly be gassed to death. By the time they managed to get the door open, all 3 men had died from the toxic fumes. A later inquiry into their deaths could not establish what the toxic fumes were or why the door had jammed. Rather than withdraw the vessel from service, the German Navy decided to commission the vessel as normal. During the trials, the captain asked a crew member to check that the hatches were indeed secure above deck before sending the craft into the first deep dive. According to witnesses on the bridge, the crew member arrived on deck and then calmly just walked into the sea. Following man overboard procedure, they endeavoured to rescue the seaman, only to discover that they could not find his body. Did he successfully swim to shore, this could have been a simple and clever case of desertion. Continuing with training operations, the captain went ahead, and with the U-boat's first dive, he requested the vessel cease diving at 5,000 fathoms, but the nose of the vessel did not raise up, so the craft carried on diving until it hit the bottom of the bed. For 12 hours, the crew desperately tried to find out why the vessel would not rise, but during this time, once again, the vessel filled with toxic fumes from an unknown source. After 12 hours, the vessel inexplicably started to rise from the seabed, and the men climbed out of the U-boat, coughing and gasping for oxygen. What is strange is that 12 hours was considered the maximum that any man could survive on the seabed before death started to occur. Again, was this just a coincidence? The U-boat was returned to dry dock for a complete and thorough examination, and where needed, amendments were made and repairs and fixes completed. Naval Command felt she was now ready for commission, and went ahead with her first maiden voyage to Bruges, which happily was a successful journey. At Bruges, the U-boat needed to fill up with the usual supply of food, but also torpedoes. Their overconfidence and luck would change when the last torpedo to be lowered into the hull exploded, killing 5 men and seriously injuring many others. One of the officers to die in this tragedy was a Lieutenant Richter, who, because of his dark complexion, was nicknamed Der Schwarz, the Black One. Another inquiry deemed that this was just indeed another accident, and the commissioning continued uninterrupted. After enjoying shore leave, 31 men returned to the vessel for duty, and the 5 deceased crew members were replaced. However, as the men were counted on climbing on board, the officers counted 32 men instead of 31. The last man to board was dark in complexion. From then on, the ghost of Lieutenant Richter would appear and disappear with alarming frequency. As the captain and officers discussed tactics in the privacy of the captain's boardroom, the door suddenly flung open, and there in the doorway was Richter. The new captain demanded to know why the man was interrupting their meeting. The officer who had seen Richter on the gangplank insisted that it was Der Schwarz returning, and that another lookout called Peterson had also seen Richter climb the gangplank and stand on the upper deck before suddenly disappearing. Peterson was now cowering on the deck, too scared to move. The captain requested that Peterson join them below deck, and the captain was to conduct an investigation. The captain did not believe in ghosts, and so questioned the whole crew, suspecting that someone was impersonating Richter to sabotage the mission. He was to be disappointed. The whole crew suspected that the vessel was haunted, and Peterson, convinced of his sightings and beliefs, chose to desert the ship and take the consequence of his actions rather than die a horrible death on the death boat U65. The skeptics of society would later condemn this story as nothing but a hoax by a journalist called Hector C. Bywater, amid claims that there was no official documentation regarding the haunting. I am not sure that the Imperial Navy would keep documents of a haunted ship. In any event, Bywater was unable to prove that the vessel was not haunted, even though he thought it was a hoax. However, an unnamed petty officer wrote privately of the ordeal, having served on the U65 for long periods. He wrote of the low level of morale. The U65 was never a happy ship. though we were always fortunate in our officers. There was something in the atmosphere on board which made one uneasy. Perhaps knowing her evil history, we imagined things, but I am convinced myself that she was haunted. One night at sea I saw an officer standing on deck. He was not one of us. I caught only a glimpse of him, but a shipmate who was nearer swore that he recognised our former second officer. Several of the bluejackets saw the ghost quite often, but others were unable to see it, even when it was pointed out to them, standing only a few feet away. Our last captain would never admit to the existence of anything supernatural, but once or twice when coming on deck, I observed him being very agitated and was told by men that the ghost had been walking on the foredeck. When the captain's attention was drawn to it, he pretended to see nothing and scolded the watch for being a pack of nervous fools. But afterwards, I heard from a mess steward at the officers' casino that our captain openly declared his ship to be haunted by devils. On the 21st of January 1918, the blockade of food for the German people was working, and UB65 was tasked to sail to UK waters, once more to target fishing vessels and boats. Richter was seen once more on deck by the crew, and this time the captain saw the ghost of Richter. So scared was the captain that he deliberately avoided attacking any vessels until their return to Bruges for further supplies. A few weeks later, whilst on shore, this same captain was to die a bizarre death at Bruges. The town was bombed by enemy, and a large piece of shrapnel flew towards him whilst walking the streets of Bruges, and bizarrely decapitated him, killing him instantly. Another accident? Another coincidence? By now the crew were in a total state of panic, and although a new captain was appointed, he had no choice but to transfer the old crew out and place a brand new crew onto UB65. Such was the terror. With the new crew in place, senior officers suggested that the UB65 receive an exorcism to rid the boat of evil spirits. Witnessing the chanting of prayer throughout the boat by the priest, the new crew were convinced that the boat was cursed, and so the new crew were plagued with fears. 2 months later, the vessel disappeared without trace. So what happened to UB65? My first question has to be, was UB65 really haunted by Lieutenant Richter? In vision, I was shown the following. White feathers fell from the sky. They piled up like snow around me. The beautiful white feathers and peace around me made me feel safe. Angels cloaked me with a robe with white angel wings. I felt protected. Lieutenant Richter came to meet me. I was afraid, but his energy was calm and peaceful. He was wearing his naval uniform, but he showed me his back. He was also wearing white angel wings. He smiled at me. I felt safe. He said that he did haunt the U-boat. He was looking out for enemy vessels. If he saw one, the periscope would come up, so he would push it down again. He would scare lookout crew members to stop them notifying the captain of enemy vessels. I asked him what had happened on the U-boat's last day. I needed to see what the crew saw on that last day. I I saw crew members calmly climb the metal ladders and exit the boat onto the deck. There was no panic. There was no explosion. At first, I saw the U-boat empty of crew, which confused me. They had all deserted. It was 1918, and they knew somehow they had lost the war. They left the hatches open. Checking the ship one last time, Richter stood as lookout one last time and then disappeared as the ship was sinking. He felt that he had saved many lives, including the lives of the last crew members, and his work was complete. There was no evil on board, only a force for the good, which is why the prayers of the priests had not worked. He did, however, confirm that some deaths had been genuine accidents. Over the years, the wreck of UB65 had been found, with no visible damage to the hull, and no survivors were ever found. God bless you all, and God bless the crew for taking the right decision. Although the end of the war was not officially announced, I would have done the same. Left the ship and conceded that the war was over all but in name. Certainly other U-boat crew members were surrendering at that time, choosing the prisoner of war route rather than a pointless death beneath the ocean waves. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the mystery. Please subscribe. I look forward to seeing you again, guys, in the next mystery. Take care. Bye for now.